As I was preparing for my finals, I was going through fetal circulation and found that it was quite difficult and complicated to understand. Not only for me, but most of my friends found it tough to understand. So, after understanding the fetal circulation, found out that it wasn't that tough to. So, thought to make a small video on it for others to understand the fetal circulation in an easiest way and to get a clear view of the fetal circulation. So first of all, it is very important to understand that what is fetal circulation. So it is nothing but circulation of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood and nutrients from the placenta to the fetus and back to the placenta is called fetal circulation. Fetal circulation differs from the adult circulation in a number of ways, which includes placenta. So the placenta is the organ that develops in the mother's uterus and provides oxygen and nutrients to the fetus. The second thing is the umbilical cord. Umbilical cord consists of one umbilical vein and two umbilical arteries. So the umbilical vein carries oxygenated blood from the placenta to the fetus, and the two arteries carries deoxygenated blood from the fetus to the placenta. The fetal circulation differs mainly from the adult circulation because of the presence of three shunts to bypass lungs and liver. So the shunt is nothing but a passage through which blood can move from one part to the other. So the first shunt is the ductus venosus. So ductus venosus carries oxygenated blood from the umbilical vein to the inferior vena cava by passing fetal liver. The second shunt is the foramen ovale. So this connects the right atrium to the left atrium and pushes blood from the right atrium to the left atrium. And the third shunt is ductus arteriosus. It carries deoxygenated blood from the pulmonary artery to the aorta by passing fetal lungs. So there are some of the important points to know about the fetus is that the first thing is that lungs do not function in the fetus because they are surrounded by amniotic fluid. So the next question which arises is that, is amniotic fluid harmful for the lungs? So obviously no, because amniotic fluid plays essential role in the development of the fetus lungs, and after the birth the lungs usually clears the amniotic fluid within few hours or within few days. The fluid is pushed out by the baby's first breath and then fills the lungs with air. And the second thing is that once the baby is born, the foramen ovale and the ductus arteriosus closes. So now we will see how the fetal circulation takes place with the help of the diagram and the flowchart of the fetal circulation. So this is the diagram of the fetal circulation and this is the flowchart of the fetal circulation. So this is the placenta and you can see the three things here, right? That is the red color, one red color and two blue color. So this red one is the umbilical vein. So umbilical vein, as you all know, that it carries the oxygenated blood. So umbilical vein carries the oxygenated blood and it reaches the liver. So as we all know that liver is supplied by the portal vein. So the portal vein is divided into two branches. That is the right branch and the left branch. So this umbilical vein goes and connects to the left branch of the portal vein. So after this, the blood has to flow to the fetus, right? So this blood flows to the inferior vena cava. So the passage which is created here, it is called the ductus venosus. So the oxygenated blood travels to the vena cava, and as we all know that inferior vena cava from the lower part of the body, it carries the deoxygenated blood. So the oxygenated blood and the deoxygenated blood gets mixed here, but most the oxygenated blood is only present here. So after mixing here, it again travels to the inferior vena cava and reaches the right atrium. So as we all know, the inferior vena cava is carrying the deoxygenated blood from the lower part of the body. So from the upper part of the body, the superior vena cava is bringing the blood. So from the inferior vena cava and superior vena cava. the blood is draining in the right atrium. So here we can see from the right atrium, it has two passages. That is, from the right atrium, the blood is coming down to the right ventricle, and some of the blood is going to the left atrium. So the blood which is going to the left atrium, it is going through a passage. So this passage is called nothing but the foramen oval. Okay. So, and the rest of the blood which is coming down to the right ventricle, then again it is passing through this passage, you can see, no? So this is called the pulmonary artery. Nothing but pulmonary artery. So this pulmonary artery, what it does, it some of the blood is carried to the right lung, and some of the blood is carried to the left lung. But we all know that lungs are not functioning. So what happens? The blood which reaches the left lung or the right lung, it again comes back to the pulmonary artery. So after that, where it will go? So again, one passage is created there. So this passage is nothing but ductus arteriosus. Okay. So it meets again in the aorta. So the blood which is carried through the ductus arteriosus, it meets at aorta. So the blood which is in the aorta, it comes down to the arc of aorta and to the descending aorta. So we saw here earlier, it is going to the left atrium also, some blood. So what happens to this blood also? The left atrium, so the blood which is in the left atrium comes down to the left ventricle. And then from here, again the blood is carried to the aorta. So you saw from the two passages, the blood is carried. So from both the passages, the blood is meeting at the aorta. So from the arc of the aorta and to the descending aorta, the blood comes down. So what happens here? The deoxygenated blood is coming down. So this descending aorta again creates two branches. That is nothing but the right common iliac aorta and the left common iliac aorta. So these common iliac aortas again are divided into two branches. That is the external branches and the two internal branches. We have nothing to do with the external branches, so leave that. So the deoxygenated blood is carried from the internal iliac arteries to the two umbilical arteries. So that is nothing but the deoxygenated blood from the fetus. It is coming back to the two umbilical arteries and then to the umbilical cord and then to the placenta. So is it clear? So now we'll see the flow chart. See, I have seen the diagram. Now we'll come to the flow chart. Okay. So this is the placenta. This is the placenta. Okay. This is the umbilical cord. And then you can see the three things here, right? That is, one is the umbilical vein and two arteries. So this is the two arteries. Okay. So the oxygenated blood which is carried from the umbilical vein, it meets in the liver to the left branch of the portal vein. So umbilical vein and then meets at the left branch of the portal vein. And then from it creates one passage, right? So this passage, nothing but the ductus venosus. So the ductus venosus again meets in the inferior vena cava. So here, the inferior vena cava. And then from here, the blood is carried to the right atrium, as we saw here, right? From the right atrium. So from the right atrium, again the blood is flowed from the two ways. That is, one is to the left atrium and one is to the right ventricle here. So the passage which is carrying the blood from the right atrium to the left atrium is nothing but the foramen oval. So this is called the foramen oval. And then from the right atrium to the left atrium, then to the left atrium to the left ventricle. And then the blood is coming to the aorta, right? Here, it's coming to the aorta. And then we will see here, this right atrium. So some of the blood is coming down to the right ventricle here. And from the right ventricle, it's going to the pulmonary artery. So it came here, right? Pulmonary artery. And from the pulmonary artery, it went to the lungs. Since the lungs is not working here, so it again comes back. So lungs is not working, so the blood returns. And then it creates a passage. That is ductus venosus.
So here, ductus venosus. Ductus arteriosus. Okay, and from the ductus arteriosus, the blood is meeting at the aorta. So you saw two ways, from the right atrium and from the right ventricle. The blood is meeting here at aorta, and from the aorta to the arc of aorta, and then descending to the descending aorta. So this is the descending aorta. And then we saw the left and right common iliac artery. And then again the two branches. So since the external has no work, so the internal iliac arteries carrying the deoxygenated blood to the two umbilical arteries. Here you can see the two umbilical arteries, and back to the umbilical cord, and then to the placenta. So I think it is clear for you all.